So how long have you been trading then?
Well, more towards the full-time idea would be about 1999 is when I kind of started with that. So I don't know, what's that, like a couple of decades, almost like 18 years or something like that. I started looking at trading when I was in Montreal, where I'm originally from, when I was in my 20s. I
Oh,
took my first courses at that time, and then I put it aside for quite a while and then picked it up again around 1999.
but you were trading stocks?
That was an interesting journey because, like, eventually learning different things and, trying to tune into what would be the best thing to trade and trying different accounts and all that kind of stuff. I had some interesting experiences that led me to the S&P 500 futures contract. And I felt like that is what I'm going to trade for, I'm going to focus on. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that later in the future, I would heavily get into Forex. And that's where the S&P 500 thing would eventually lead me. That was an intuition I had. I was always told intuitively from the first time that I got intuition about trading as a good path to go on for me and why and so on, that you can make more money from that than you can from anything else in the world. That's just what I was told intuitively, but I call it by whatever, I say the unseen friends or whatever, divine being, but it just seems like it's not my normal everyday consciousness. I wouldn't know that kind of information. And you start having a dialogue with that and then testing it and working through some of the issues with that type of communication, inner communication.
Interesting.
I
When
mean,
I first heard about it too, I was just like, I was thinking about it and I thought, that seems like the kind of thing that people who are on the spiritual or esoteric path that would learn this like an esoteric science, and then they would be able to use it to create the kind of life that they need with their own personal sadhana or their practice of what they need to do. And then they could extract money out of the market and do what they need to do. And that would be, the thing that would help a lot of people. And it just seemed like, only certain people are really attracted to that.
To the spiritual or to the trading?
To trading, I'm definitely not saying that only spiritual people are attracted to trading, but it's an unusual type of personalities that are attracted to it for different reasons.
Yeah, it's fun. In the group this morning, I was looking up thin air because you had mentioned it. And it suddenly started to seem really magical because the invisible and pulling something out of the invisible. And I'm like, well, that's what it's like. That's, even just sitting in the platinum trading group, it's like, I just listen to you guys talking or and it's not like I'm not listening. I'm listening from another place. And then sometimes I'll get interested and I'll be like, oh, okay, the Great British Pound Australians. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to focus on that. And then it moves me towards taking a trade. And for 9 weeks, and I'm just like, there's like an abundance of trades and I don't even necessarily know everything of what I'm doing or what's happening, but I know what I'm listening to and I'm picking out the detail of what to get into. And then just working with different, learning strategies to stay in the trades or choose, which trades not to go in or what position size to put on or things like that. But it's been an interesting process being in the group because it's like having someone there who's just talking steadily about exactly what you're interested in, like what's the next trade. And then my process of like how I'm listening to that, how I'm picking out what I'm actually going to put on at the same time, of course, learning the patterns and stuff. I guess, but I mean, the thing with taking a trading account, and you look at it and you've got, this is my account, this is how much money I have in it. And you evaluate what are the possibilities, like what could happen theoretically, if you can only put on so many lots or so many contracts in futures or whatever, then that's your limitation. And you think, well, yeah, but if I make this much money, then I can increase my lots, I can increase and you can expand everything. And, he goes, so if you get the right information consistently, and you apply it, so that's been an interesting thing, because there's two. When I listen to the Platinum Trading Group, I'm like listening to what you guys are mostly talking about, technical analysis, I guess you could call it. And then sometimes people go, oh, I put on this trade, I'm in this trade, and I always perk up at those things, because that's where it's really happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned something interesting today. In the amount of time you've been here, you've never had a losing month. Is that what you're saying? Or
no, losing week. I go by the weeks. So because I just at the end of the week, because you know how it goes up and down. You know, you start Monday morning and you're like, yeah, I made like a bunch of money, bunch of pips overnight on Sunday night. You know, something I held over the weekend. The week starts off, you know, $700 ahead or whatever, and you're like, well, I don't know if I should trade anymore this week. You're like, but the whole week's in front of me. So then you lose it, then you get it back, and it's always a flow through the week. To be consistent is like to not be afraid to trade when you have a profit. You know, so I think making money is sometimes more scary and more emotionally challenging than not. So I just keep going forward. And then at the end of the week, I look and I'm like, well, it's been 9 weeks. Every week I have a profit. And there's some spectacular trades in there too.
wow.
Meaning the things that I'm, learning. I'm still thinking I need maybe like another 6 to 9 months in the group before it all gels really well. And so I'm doing a lot of experiments and trying a lot of things out. Like sometimes I'll put on like really tiny, crazy positions because I want to try something. And then I'll be like, oh, that was too small. That was no fun. Like that's not going to get you through what you need to learn, because it's emotional learning and technical learning, and they have to go together. Like you could be super, super good technically. I think one guy who works at Elliott Wave, he says he's a super technician, but he can't trade.
The guy who works for the Elliott Wave.
Yeah, I think it was him mentioning that in one of his newsletters one time, that he doesn't really trade himself, but he's a fantastic. What's that?
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking when I used to get their reports and so forth. There's one guy named Martin or something. I mean, he's currency specialist for Elliott Wave, but then he has all these charts. They have all these numbers on them, but you can tell he's not trading it.
Yeah, I don't know how you can tell that, but he even one time one of the guys said it. Like it was quite some time ago when I was subscribed to that, but and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think that it just shows that what it takes to trade is the synthesis of the emotional and the call it the technical.
Yeah, it is kind of a rare thing for people to have all those things together.
But I really think that it's, I call it emotional, but there's a book called, I think it's called Money in Your Brain, and then something about, by Jason Zweig, Zweig. He's a financial journalist. And it's just a full set of scientific research on how people make decisions with money, what happens to their brain. And as I recall, the thesis of the whole book is that when people make financial decisions, their brain works more like when they're like hunting and surviving than it does, in the old days, like when that was what life was like, even around here in Montreal, I read some historical books. Like you just walk out and you could get hunted by Indians or something. Like it was dangerous. Like just to step outside the door. Like survival brain kicks in when we start thinking about money, and that's what all these experiments were showing. Like, and then he was discussing, why do you, when you get to investing or picking stocks or whatever it is that people do with their money, why do they always make these weird decisions, and why do they do things and then say, why did I do that? I don't understand why I did that. Why did I sell just when it was, the wrong time? Why did I buy right at that perfectly exactly wrong time? And he goes, because your brain isn't functioning in a logical manner. It's functioning in a primal, emotional survival, which I thought, then that's the part of my brain that is going to have to help me trade.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. And I've experienced that myself. I've seen it in so many people. Very interesting. So tell me more about your own journey in personal development. You mentioned that you had done some consulting professionally and so forth. Was it?
Yeah, I still do that. I think I'm kind of at the top of my game, but in that regard, and I've been doing that for a long time, for decades. And I would say it's mostly focused on success coaching. Like what I'll do is people will just, they're interested in, doing better at something. Like usually people want to make more money, or they want to get a job that might be, or they want to do better in their relationship. But people usually have something of goals that they want to do better at. And I've always worked and studied in that field of that, and had some opportunities to write some books and put together some products that people bought all over the world. And then they started writing me back. This was about, when was that? 2004 to 2008, especially. There was like every day people were like buying my books and, doing teleseminars and all that kind of stuff. Was kind of like the hot time for that. And then they started writing me, like people just were writing me almost every day about how fantastic results they were getting using my methods, or because they did a session with me, and it was very consistent, all different type of people from all different walks of life. And I would have stopped doing it if it wasn't for that, because I was just into that stuff myself. And then I published some things and I shared some things because I was working with someone else at the time, and I was like presenting his materials. And it just turned into something where I could see that I have something of a gift for doing that. And then I had a lot of experience, and those two things eventually kind of added up. I can now, at this point, I can pretty much just start a conversation with somebody about their goals and get going, with them in that sort of a structure. Like, oh, is it all right if we talk about, if they don't come to me first, I'll even just for entertainment, I'll do it at a party or something, so what are your goals? And right away you can see what's stopping them.
Are you using any particular type of practitioner therapy or NLP or Ericksonian?
It's the Elprehzliann method.
The what?
That's my last name, Elprehzliann.
Oh, so that's how you say that. I thought that was like a Eastern European name or something.
That's a funny name. I've never heard anyone else have that name. My mom is Polish and my dad's American, but that name is that's an incredible name. So at this point, I just call it like the Elprehzliann system, what I use. But I'll draw on a number of things that I like to draw on. But and there is like something I call life transformation system A to Z that I wrote a book on that, and it's like a how-to course that people study. But for my private consulting, it's really just conversation. Like we just start talking, and it goes so fast into very, very exactly and precisely making changes for that person, because I don't like all this stuff where people sell you the idea of personal development and you're like, well, let's get to it. I want to know what I can do or what's blocking me or in my personal, where I'm at right now. That's always been something that's made me pissed off, you know, I get angry when I'm like, let's get to it. Like, I have a life. It's my personal, specific, exact issue or problem or goal that I'm working on that I haven't been able to achieve yet. Or like, I know what it feels like to have that. And I want somebody to just help me right now instead of like wade through your materials. And so I guess because of that, I turned out to be somebody who you can talk to me and I have a lot of confidence that it's going to take probably less than half an hour and we're going to be on it, you know, and you'll be feeling like, oh, this is really good. This is really helping me. This is really like, he really understands what's happening. He's already telling me things that, you know, hours with other people didn't have the same. One person told me that they spent 2 years with a psychologist in therapy, and a 1 hour destiny card reading with me gave them more help than 2 years in psychotherapy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because psychotherapy doesn't work, but
just that impression that the person feels like they're getting helped instead of having to sit there, listen to you tell them something that may not even be tuned into what it is their specific thing. It makes it kind of fun in the platinum group because I hear all kinds of stuff in people, what they're saying, you know, about, oh yeah, that's my blockage, you know, like, I'm like, yeah, and you saying it is also your blockage. Like, I've improved a lot in my own thinking being in the platinum group because of just the feedback from just what other people are just naturally saying as they're commenting and discussing, you know, how their trading's going. And I hear people say stuff like that, like repeatedly. They'll be like, oh yeah, that's my problem, or that's my blockage. And that's cool, but I'm going like, then they'll say it again the next week, you know? And I'll be like, well, if you know that that's your problem and that's your blockage, then how come it just remains your problem and your blockage and you keep talking about it? Wouldn't that be the thing that you really want to not do anymore? You know what I mean? Like, if the person's able to type it out on the chat and go, and I can read it, you know, and I know what their name is, and they're telling me like 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, I'm like, that person still has the same blockage, but they don't seem to care. They seem to be.
It seems like everybody has blockages, but they're unconscious. They don't know how to get rid of them because they don't know the method. How can you get rid of an unconscious blockage because it's unconscious?
Well, that's what's so cool about being in the platinum group, among other things, because I'm getting this feedback of other people and what they're going through. And of course, I'll say whatever I can say. And oh, sorry, I'm just gonna put that on mute. It's like, it just makes me think of myself. I go, how am I doing that?
You have some particular method that you use to get rid of the blockage?
Well, like I'm saying, like, if you can hear yourself saying your blockage, you know what it is.
Yeah.
So, but then it's even more, they're in the platinum group and they're writing it out in the chat. So that's another good step. Like, that's a really good step. They're writing out, this is my blockage. You know, like, I always get out of a trade too soon. So we could say like, oh, well, you need to do EFT on that, or you need to do this technique. And the problem is that the reason that I have that blockage or they have that blockage is because of a reason, right? Like, there's going to be like a subconscious reason. So you could tell them like, oh, I hear that's your blockage. Your blockage is that you get out of a trade too soon. You always do that. And then you go, so do you really always do that? What about the trades where you don't always do that? And, you know, you can start, but for the person to do it for themselves, the only thing that they have to go by is if they could hear themselves saying it, or in their head, they could hear themselves thinking it. If the person's like talking to me, it's easy. I'll be like, oh, hi, what's your name? Oh, my name's Scott. Okay, Scott. So you're a great trader and you've been doing it for a long time. And what are your goals? Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. Great. Do you want to see results like in the next couple of weeks? Your trading is going to improve just by talking to me a few times. Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, but we're going to have to like see proven results. So your trading is going to have to change, and you're going to have to come back to me and go, my trading changed for the better significantly because of our conversations. And you're going to have to know why that happened. Is that okay with you? We'd have something like that to set it up, right? You know what I mean? Like we'd have to bring it up into the consciousness. Once that frame is there, then it can switch from just the person reporting their blockages to actually doing something about it because of the feedback. But if their person's not doing it with me and they're just doing it with themselves, then they still need to get the feedback. So they would have to write it out, or they would have to be really good with mental focus so that they could hold that, hear themselves say it, and then like repeat it over and over again. I always get out of a trades too soon. I always get out of a trades too soon. And then they'd have to have another part of their consciousness be listening to that. That's not very easy, really. It's all about feedback. Like you got to keep having the feedback. These things pop up, and that's fascinating. I'm sure that you hear it for years, right? You've been doing this platinum group for years, it seems to me, and people would constantly probably be telling you in the room, in the platinum group room, what their blockage and what their problem with trading is. Like just constantly.
Yeah, but what people have unconscious beliefs that were programmed when they're young, and it takes some work for you to really discover the core belief that's causing some of your problems, but most of it goes back to something where when you're really young, you took on this belief that I'm not worthy, I'm afraid of being punished, like the universe is an unfriendly place. And when you change that belief and you change to believe, oh, the universe is a wonderful place. But you could talk about it or discover it, but unconsciously the belief is still there until you do something to change it. It seems like it's kind of an energetic thing, and you got to do some kind of there's different ways that I found that people use to change a belief. And I was just wondering what kind of a method that you use to change the belief.
Well, I've had girlfriends accuse me of using trading as my, technique for doing that, because trading gives you the feedback. Like you're like, go and have meditations and inner dialogues and do whatever I'm doing to change my inner beliefs, right? Because you could see it reflected in the trading, in those patterns that come up, like, oh, whatever they are, right? But then what do they call it? The acid test is when you see your trading change. And because it's triggering that primal brain, I think, and that book I mentioned, kind of corroborates my theory about your primal emotional brain is what's doing the trading, either badly or good, for whatever beliefs or whatever reasons it's doing, allowing that to happen. Because it's survival. So if it thinks that it's good for your survival to make a lot of money trading, then you're going to make a lot of money trading.
Like say if you get out of a trade too soon, the reason is something having to do with fear, and then uncertainty as to like you don't really trust what you already know. And then another thing though is the tricky part is that the unconscious mind may believe that it's not right to make money, and then you grow up and you get wisdom, you learn how to do things, and you don't believe that anymore consciously, but the unconscious mind is trying to stop you from making money if you believe that it's not right and things like that. Yeah.
The number one thing that I would tell to somebody if I only had a short period of time and that was the only time I was going to talk to them, and I wanted to help them as much as I could in the modern Western world that we're in right now, regarding how to trade better, how to work on some of these things, I would say develop a rapport with your subconscious mind. And I would say that you probably don't have a very good one right now, because most of us don't. Like we think that our ego consciousness is everything. And like, this is who I am, like anything I say with I, right? No, I don't, it's not some psychological definition of ego. It's just your identification. Like, who are you? Are you married? What are you doing? Oh yeah, I'm this and I'm that, and I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm gonna get off the call now. I got 5 more minutes. Whatever I, that's a focus of consciousness. And that is not the subconscious. The subconscious would certainly is just another theoretical concept to describe another aspect of self or whatever words and language. But the experience of it is that people don't have a very good rapport with that part of them. They go like, oh, my subconscious is like preventing me from making money. So what rapport do they have with that? And I would say you got to develop a rapport. Make it into a dialogue if you need to, but like realize that your ego consciousness, my ego consciousness, is limited like crazy, and the subconscious is pretty much running your life with all those beliefs and things for your own safety. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to keep you protected, and it could be all programmed thinking that protection means don't make money because then you'll get in trouble like grandpa did, or whatever crazy ideas. But, because you watch so many movies where they end up in jail after they get all the money or something, and it's just in your subconscious has got the wrong idea, and you got to talk to it. But people won't talk to it because they think that I'm in charge. I'm the boss. I'm the only one who exists. And it's frightening to think of the loss of control, of your life.
Instead of discovering that you didn't have control to begin with.
When I started trading more seriously in around 1999, that was my main commitment. I said to myself, I assessed the overall situation, like, what's this all about? And I went, this is totally stuff that's going to be mostly in the realm of my subconscious mind. There is very little that I'm consciously going to be involved with this. Just open the account, make the final decision, kind of like when to get in, when to get out. Even that's not up to me. I'm just the one sitting here pressing the buttons. And I decided that I'm going to learn how to trade on that basis. And so because this, I've read lots of books about trading where they just say it just seems clear to me over and over again, the brightest and the best doctors and engineers and just the smartest people in the world get brought to their knees by trading.
Oh, yeah. Very intelligent people have a very hard time trading. Some of very intelligent people tell me it's not possible. It's just impossible. You're crazy. It's not possible to do it.
Yeah, because it's just, but when you think about it, just from the way I was told from the inside, from the intuition from the beginning, they just said it's like the fantasy that people have. It's just like an ATM machine where you can take as much money as you want. And I've held that notion all along because I went, I don't think that's not true. I think I get in the way of that a little or a lot at different times, but I've experienced not getting in the way of that and just going like, well, I don't need to think about it any more than that. That's why I like to show my girlfriend trading. I'm like, oh, check this out. Come into my office. Look at my computer. This is how much money I have. This is and you start explaining to a person who knows nothing about it and try and get them to understand how to make money in like 10 minutes or something. It's just like you just press the button to buy and you press the button to sell, and then you have to explain about, doing it in reverse. Like sometimes you open a trade by selling and, just the basics. And that's all it is. It's like you have to put your PIN number in, and then you have to put how much money you want out of the ATM. I read about all those people who are smarter than me, and I'm like, if that brings them to their knees and they constantly fail to develop some sort of system or method for trading, then why am I even going to try that? It's got to be just maybe what I was told intuitively. Just go get the money. And if you fail to get the money, then just go get the money. And if that doesn't work, then just go back and go get the money. Because that's all that it's about. It's not about any of the blocks or barriers or anything. It's just simply go to the store and buy some bread. And if every time you come back from the store and you tell your wife, I couldn't get the bread because there was like these guys and and every day you have this story about how you couldn't bring the bread home, you know? And then one day you start bringing the bread home. And that's all you're supposed to do from the first place. And all those stories and all the things that happened. And I really like your course because I felt that it was time in my life where I needed to learn the Forex. So like it was just time to switch out of S&P 500 and get into the Forex, and that needed to become my main thing, right? But I felt like I didn't really understand or know the terms or the Forex. So I just found your course from like a real, kind of just happened to watch a video, and then I showed the video to my girlfriend. She goes, "Oh, I'll pay for it, for the first month." And I'm like, "Okay, sure," like, and then I started doing it and listening to what you were saying and took it seriously. And like every single thing that you said you were going to do, kind of thing, like this is what it is, this is what it's going to be about. And then I would go in the platinum group or in my account and so on and start applying those things immediately. In the first few days, it immediately proved to be what I thought, intuitive. I thought, this guy, everything he's saying is exactly aligned to what is actually going to be like. Oh, you can do this and you can do this and this is what it's going to be like, and what Scott's saying. And then the experience of going in the group and going following, learning the Elliott wave and things like that and applying it, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what the experience is. You can get in at the precise beginning of a trade and you can get out at the precise end of the move. I'm like, well, there it is. I did it again, and it's because I just felt that there's a very, very unprecedented kind of integrity of what you're saying and what you're doing. And I just went, I'm just lucky again, because I always end up running into, when I need help or I need something to move me to the next level or step in my trading career, that always just shows up at the right time in the right way. And it's always amazing and spectacular. And I think of that as, meeting you and taking the program for 9 weeks now. That's my experience. Like, it's so, effing amazing that integrity, because what you're saying, if people listen to what you're saying, I go, oh, I know. A lot of people are going to listen to what he's saying. They're going to go, yeah. And they'll have their own thoughts about it, right? I'm like, look, I'm serious about learning what he's teaching. So my thoughts are just going to be on pause. I'm just going to listen to his thoughts and I'm going to apply them as best as I can each day. And I started doing that. And then I started to get the feedback, like I was saying before, because I had to test myself, like, is it working? And then I'm like, well, look at that. That's amazing. That's exactly what he said would happen. That's exactly what he said I could do, or we could do, or whatever. It's exactly. And that's what I thought it was going to be like when I first, watched some of his original videos. I mean, original for me, like what I was first exposed to, like in the sales letter videos or things like that. I'm like, this guy's saying stuff that, and then he's going, and I'll show you how to do it. And I'll teach you how to do that. And I'm like, I think that's exactly what's going to happen if I could go in this course. And so I started telling that to my girlfriend, and she's like, well, I'll pay for it. And then I started showing her like screen captures and stuff. And the last few weeks she was here and she was seeing it live, and she's like, it still messes with people's mind. Like, even when they see it happening in front of their very eyes, they still, I still have my doubts,
That's amazing, because a lot of people, their minds do tune it out. That's why I'm constantly trying to emphasize. Do you remember that we said this yesterday? Did we say this is going to happen, and then it didn't happen? And because there have been people who've been in there and they didn't make the connection. They're just like, I didn't see any trades. Do you guys ever trade? And all kinds of different experiences people have. So when you're seeing it and you're doing it, that means, you're really tuned into it and it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I noticed in regards to what you're saying is that something that I thought I heard you say consistently over and over in different videos and live in the Platinum group is that you're at a point where you mostly don't, even though obviously you are very, very well versed in many, many different types of technical analysis. And, but you've kind of got to a place where, oh, just do the Elliott wave. I think you even said it directly to me one day. Like I had said, I was moving through the course from the beginning to the end. And he said, well, maybe just jump ahead to the Elliott wave section and go through that 3 times, you know? And my impression at different times is that you're just saying, like, when you're making your chart, don't put any junk on it. Just look at the chart. You know, don't put any indicators. Don't put anything else. But even though people are with you, and even though they like working with you, and even though they believe, if you want to use that word, what you're saying to keep the charts clean and stuff, then they share their screen and their charts are full of stuff.
It's interesting. I mean, and then they show their stuff and they're seeing, but if they see something from it, like they're using different things, I'm paying attention to this thing here and this thing here. If it helps them, I mean, that's okay. But I just personally don't feel like I need those things.
Yeah, I figured if that's what he's saying, and I'm here to learn from somebody who knows something that I don't know, then I guess there's a modeling. You know, you just do whatever they're doing and you don't question it. You could question it later, but first you have to start doing it and experiencing it. So I'm like, well, he's not putting it. I've never really put much stuff on my charts either. So I'm kind of like, that works for me anyways. But now I'm going to think of it as almost a practice. Like if I feel inclined to, even you guys use CCI quite a bit, it seems, but I'm like, I took it off of almost all my charts. Because I feel like, but I'm trading all right with just the chart. Like just the squiggly line is good for me. I like to have a 200-day moving average. That's it. And so it's like, maybe it's a kind of thing where we find the person that matches with what we already want or something. But I'm like, I didn't want it. I'm like, no, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just need to know when to buy and when to sell and keep doing that over and over again profitably.
Creative people, I've had different musicians and different types of personalities in there that did very well, but it seems like they tend to have a developed right brain in some capacity, because you have to have both, you know, left brain and right brain.
A lot of times you guys are talking in there and I'm like thinking, you guys are too left brain right now. You're just like, and then I think of it as, yeah, but that's okay, because everybody needs to just, you know, relax and chill out and talk to each other. But I'm like, once it gets down to it and all of you are putting on your trades, you're going to go into another brain mode. Like, this isn't really helping you trade. This is helping you relax and just stay present and be there, you know, and then you're going to trade, like every so often whenever the opportunities come up.
It's kind of weird, but I've been exposed to and studied hypnosis and NLP for now almost 10 years. And a lot of the people are practitioners and hypnotherapists and stuff, and they make their money from doing that. And I've never had any intention of working as a practitioner, but I take all these practitioner courses and stuff. And but I should try to help people, you know. But
well, it comes through in your work, because I noticed that in some of the videos that I saw before I started subscribing, and I could tell, like, as you mentioned it a little bit, you're in some of those videos, but I could tell that you were actually applying those things. And then when I started being in the platinum sessions, I could tell that you were like, you embrace those things as part of your everyday life, and you speak them in the platinum group. So I'm like, oh, this is great. This is like every platinum group session is a hypnosis session. It's like trading hypnotherapy, because Scott knows what he's doing. Like, it's rubbed off on you and you're consciously applying stuff. And like, I can just sit in the platinum group and get programmed to be a good Forex trader.
I never intentionally tried to do that, but maybe it's
really
unconscious or something.
That's amazing.
Never applied.
Because it's just, No, I know that. I mean, I know I've been, worked with a lot of people. So I'm like, this is premium quality, like hypnosis and programming and NLP and, positive thinking, like mind programming stuff. I'm like, Scott is programming me like it's just effortless. All I just have to do is shut up and just show up and shut up and listen and participate. And I'm going to get programmed to be a fantastic trader. And it's only 9 weeks. And so I'm going, what's going to happen in like 9 months or 6 months or a year from now? I can't even possibly imagine. It's like that, like you're leading me through my own, blockages and stuff that I would, to making like more money than I ever have before, or having it be easier than it ever was before, or whatever my things are. And I'm just sitting there showing up. And I'll be like, oh, I don't want to do the platinum group this morning. Oh, one of your blockages coming up. Well, go sit down and move through that just by sitting in the platinum group. It will just be, there's one day my eyes were so blurry. I couldn't see the screen. And I'm like, well, you just have like something that's trying to stop you from doing this. So the only thing I have to do is just sit down and turn on the screen, and it's blurry, and just I have to work through it. And I think that week ended up being some really, really good trades on the Eurocat or something, like just the best trades I ever made, with perfect entries, perfect exits. And not only that, but then I like waited out while the retracement happened, and then I got in again perfectly, and then I got the whole next piece perfectly. And it was very clear that I was blurring out, and like my subconscious mind, some belief like you or something, was just going like, you can't do this. And then I just moved through that and did these amazing trades.
You were having some physical problem with your sight
that day. And it took me a couple of weeks to sort of, it took me about 5 or 6 days to, and I adjusted my monitor, and I did outer physical things, but I knew it's an inner blockage. And it's at that point where, like, if some part of myself is desperate to keep me from making more money or learning how to do these fantastic trades that Scott's talking about, it will use any tactic necessary, including simple things that the subconscious mind is perfectly capable of doing. Like, well, it seems that visual is very much part of what this is all about, and a lot of the language that I heard you using a lot was about, visual, like seeing the market, and, just a lot of visual language, right? And so I even tried blaming it on you. I'm like, well, he's just talking so much about all that, and maybe he doesn't even know what kind of programming he's doing, and he's like overemphasizing on the visual, and now it's like blowing out my eyes, and I'm like, well,
that's so funny. I have never consciously tried to do anything that's manipulative or hypnosis or anything while I'm in the.
That's incredible. You're damn good at it. And because you're good at it, I say, because all I have to do is just listen to it. And like I'm trying to honestly say, my blockages come up, and some of them are quite serious. Like my head could be spinning, like literally. Like, so that I feel like, no, I just can't sit in front of the screen right now, because my head just doesn't, or that particular day or two where my eyes, I look at the screen and it's normally sharp and clear, and it was so blurry I couldn't see it.
That's weird.
You think it's not weird though for me. You think, oh, brain damage, my age, here, it's finally hitting, but I'm going like, no, it's probably resistance to making money doing this. It's probably something like that. And then I worked through it, and then all of a sudden the screen's clearer than ever, and I'm seeing just great. And in fact, in life, I'm seeing better, because I just stopped doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, but it can be very heavy duty, because this is about survival, even if it's not about survival. Even if somebody has millions of dollars and they're just trading for fun in a little tiny account, it's still going to be about survival, because that's what trading triggers.
Interesting. I still have a lot of blockages I'm still working on, and energy blockages and subconscious things and stuff. I'm still constantly working on it. But
well, the thing that I'm interested about between you and me, just sort of like a little thing that I think about once in a while, the more I've had a little more experience of listening to you and something like, well, the holy grail for me is just simply like we use the market as that personal ATM machine, which means the only limitation is how many contracts can you put on, and do you feel like getting in front of the screen right now? But that's not even much of a limitation because there's so many opportunities throughout the week. You can put stuff on and come back later type of thing. But I'm interested in improving the trading so much that there's a sense of just certain knowing, like, which I already have gotten that with the S&P 500, and I'm seeing that starting to click in with the Forex. I'm like, I just know I'm going to make money. It doesn't matter what happens. Like just today, there was overnight, there was Great British Pound Great British Pound Japanese, the Great British Pound yen, and I sold it last night because I thought it was going to do like a wave 5 down or something like that. And I
before you went to bed.
Before I went to bed, so I got stopped out. And I woke up this morning and I was like, that pretty much wiped out my week of profits on Euro USD. And then I just immediately looked at it and I went, oh, you just got in a little bit too early. I doubled my position size last night. All this happened last night. So I didn't go to bed. I put on the trade like in the afternoon or something. I can't remember exactly. I know I got stopped out by the night. And then before I went to bed, I just went in double size short again, woke up this morning and made a bunch of pips and profits. You can't do that if you don't feel confident that just like, yeah, it's all going to work out. At the end of the week, I'm going to see a positive result, because trading has got all these things that happen. So what I'm interested in is like, well, maybe we can do some things even more than that would make changes for each of us in our personal situations of trading, where it's just really is the vision that I've held for almost 30 years now, that trading is a place where you can just get more money than you can in any other business. And it's just as easy as going up to the ATM machine and getting your money out. Only the amounts are just dependent on how much money you have in your account. I mean, obviously you can't put on 100 lots with a $10,000 account, But if you feel like whatever account size you have, you're just going to go and make as much money as you can with it without worrying about it. It's just going to take me some time, and it's going to be like, but it's going to happen because I have an account.
Yeah.
And everything else is gone. Like there's no more improvement or anything. There's just like, I'm just getting as much money as I can. Your course already represents that idea, because you're showing in a lot of the training materials that there is no more money that you can make from a trade if you get in at the right time and you get out at the right time. There is no more that can be made.
I try to emphasize that a lot so that people will look and say, is that true? And can you look at the chart and say, that's true, right? Do you understand that's true? But people will still think, oh, I need to try this other system and all these different tools and stuff, instead of just seeing that, when you read the market, there's only one place you could get in that would give you the maximum amount of profit, and there's one way to do it. I mean, but I still think you got to have some other complicated thing.
Yeah, and so that fully aligned, that idea that you represent there so frequently and so clearly and so well, which I've tested and which works perfectly, and there is no way to make more money than that, because that aligns perfectly with what I originally intended and what I've observed all along trading. Many hours of trading live accounts, that there is just only so much you can make on any given trade. It starts in a certain place, it ends in a certain place, and if I could get the whole piece, then there's no more to be made. Then move on to the next.
Most people can't even conceive that that's possible. A lot of people just can't grasp that.
And yet they'll say things like, I got out too soon, which means which implies that they know there was something more that they could have got, or I always get in too late, or I missed it. So they do know, but they don't, like you say, they don't believe it. They're not convinced that it's true for them because they haven't done it yet, instead of, well, it's true about the market and I'm not able to do it yet, but I can, and I can learn that, and I want that, and that's my goal. Is like, I want to get in, and then I want to get out, and then I want to see where to get in again, and then I want to get out, and I want to get the whole piece, I want the whole thing. That's my vision. And on that journey, sure, I'll mess it up lots of times, but I'm starting to see in the Platinum Group that my long-term vision of doing that is actually coming true. And I'm very satisfied with that. It's a really ultimate lifetime goal. Like, I feel like I could die and go to heaven, and I'd be like, that's something I've worked on my whole life in trading. Well, my adult life, to do perfect trades like that. I don't know why I've been compelled to do that, but getting into the Platinum Group and having that experience already, I'm like, this is just the beginning of being in the Platinum Group as far as I'm concerned. And I'm expecting that will just happen more and more, because that's what I want. Like there was a EuroCAD trade selling, and I got in at the top perfect precision point of the move because of what you were saying, not because of me. I didn't even know. I'm like, right here, okay, here we go. And then, later you're looking, oh, that was perfect. And then where do I get out? And I was able to talk to you and other people in the group. Like, I'm really scared. Like, I don't know. I've made a lot of pips already, and I just want to close it. I can't hold this trade. And meanwhile, that dialogue and that chance to be with other people helped me not close it.
Yeah.
And I just devised this, idea in myself that I was going to play a game for a week or two with my account, that I was just going to hold stuff for no other reason than that I probably wasn't holding stuff long enough. And you guys are talking about, oh, but you could get, I'm like, well, how many pips can you get in Forex, And I was just really opening up to all that. And then somehow it ended up that I got out at exactly the place where it was over. And then, it was doing like a sideways or correction for a while. And then I got back in, and just the whole thing was like my dream come true of how I always imagined trading would be, if you knew exactly where to get in and where to get out. And then you could wait until it was time to do it again. And then you could do it again, and you just keep doing that. And that's your life of trading.
Exactly.
And nothing else needs to happen. Just, that's what I want to do. So I'm actually doing that in the group, and I assessed when you were describing like the outlook for someone taking the training, that it could probably take like 6 months or 9 months or even a year or two, and that would be fine because it's worth it.
Yeah.
To invest a year or two learning something like that, to be able to do something like that, that's not a lot of time or money of what it would cost.
Compare it to anything else in the world, is pretty valuable skill to have.
Yeah, and yet, as you also have said, it's esoteric. I don't know if that's the word you used, but like good trading and that type of trading is supposedly impossible. It supposedly doesn't exist. It supposedly is like a fantasy, but I'm doing that kind of trading in your group, so I'm still a bit messed up about why other people say it's impossible, but I'm doing it. Like, that is actually causing me to have some problems,
Wait a minute, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, and social problems, because you want to tell people in your life that are important to you that I'm doing this, this is happening. And they're like, oh yeah, you've always been working on that, and like, no, it's like actually happening. Like, look at the charts. And then they look at the charts and it doesn't make any sense to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was something that I worked out so far, is like how to, because I'd be like, oh, I just made like, I think on one trade I made 300 pips or something with the Platinum Group. But I don't know if that's good or not, like. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, but what was my position size? And, then that's something I've been working on, is position size. Like I think there's something that I call pressure, which is really important term for me in trading. It's like I could perfectly do a trade at point one, but then when I go up to like one, lot, then it's a different pressure and I might behave and perform differently. Mm. So I try experiments as I'm learning the numbers and learning, like how much money do I make if I do this size, and then I feel less pressure, and then I can hold it longer and I'll make just as much money as if I do like a larger size and I chicken out. Like I'm still learning all that kind of stuff, but something's going right that I always end up ahead every week. Yeah, I'm still learning things like, oh, I like this Great British Pound JPY because it's for some reason that I don't understand yet and may never. It seems like it makes more pips.
Yeah, in the old days, the pound yen was kind of the king of pip movement, and things changed over time. And I think now that the pound kiwi is the one that usually surpasses everything.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
That's what I was kind of tuning into this morning in the group. I'm like, oh, that one too. Like, I want which ones make the most pips, Like,
yeah, it's definitely a big pip mover. But yeah, that's kind of the key is to not think about how much money you're making. And I've always emphasized, don't look into your account to see the numbers, because that really distracts people, and then they're like, oh my God, and either a lot of fear or get out and things like that. But if you just look at the shape of the charts and keep focusing.
As soon as the live money activates, all the brain chemistry is different, all the emotions are different, all the decisions are different. And so some people, like I told you a story, I wrote that to you yesterday about a guy, who had his girlfriend come in and disrupted his trading because he just got upset from one thing that she said. So I thought, like, that kind of stuff is good training to help me with, because live money will upset you. Like, you'll get all freaked out, and I've had like incredible emotional things that just bothered me for years, and I'm like, why do I keep doing that in trading live money? Because the live money like hooks you in. It's not the same as demo. I could see that it's possible that I became involved in personal development just so that it could help me with my trading and to deal with other people who are relating to me trading.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason for the whole path and the synchronicity and everything. It could be leading you to your ultimate destination.
Yeah, but I just want to say, like, just maybe in wrapping up or whatever, but I just want to say that it's been a great gift that I received from you, just being who you are, because you're saying you weren't even doing it on purpose, but like, to get me to the place where I've had the experience multiple times in the last 9 weeks, almost from the beginning, of doing the kind of trading that I've always held as my goal, like my vision. We hold our vision and then we perform less than the vision until we get to the point where the vision is manifested in reality. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but that's the entire focus of my entire personal development that I teach other people, and that's what I do for myself. It's like you hold the vision until it comes true. So in the last 9 weeks in the Platinum Trading Group, a long-term vision of how I wanted to trade has fallen into place. And now I'm adjusting my entire life and going to see how that works out. So to make a business out of it, or where is this leading, or what's happening now that I've achieved this long-term vision? Because it's so shocking and so stunning when that happens after such a long time. And it's been so important to me. I don't even know if it's about the money. I don't even know if it is about starting a business in Forex or something. It might be about something else, because personally for me, it's just been a vision that I've held for a long time, and to do those type of trades. That's it. Just to be able to trade like that. I don't know how to explain it other than to say, like, when you hold a goal for a long time, which I've done on many things in many areas, and it finally comes true, there's a lot of feelings and experiences of like, wow, like now everything's different because I made it. And my goal with trading was to trade just like I've been trading, in the last 9 weeks, or the last, half of the last 9 weeks or something like that. I'm just stunned and shocked, and it's unbelievable. And sometimes I'm actually getting like physically sick and things like that, because it's like detoxifying all the things that I went through to get to this point. But I'm still at this point, and I'm still delighted and blissful and joyous about having achieved this type of trading.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, even though, as you say, maybe you didn't totally intend to do the programming and such like that, but it's just worked. It was, I always wish that I could have that kind of help to, because I knew that it's all subconscious, and when people talk logically and intellectually about trading, I'm like, that's not going to work. But the way you talk about it, there's plenty of logic and intellect, but you seem to have a very solid basis and understanding about the NLP and, the different, like, whatever you've done in your own personal development, comes through in your language and the way that you speak and the repetition, like you embrace the repetition. That's so necessary. So all I had to do is like, just go along with that, only for a short period of time so far, and get to the point where I'm like, okay, this is really good. Now I'm going to recommit. I made a commitment for 6 months to keep doing this platinum group and so on. And at this time, like, okay, I'm going to see where this is going to go next. But none of it would have happened if it wasn't for what you're offering and what you're doing and the way you're doing it. And I'm really, really grateful for that.
Well, my pleasure. Obviously, I totally enjoy it, and I'm always feel grateful to hear people who are getting some real benefit from it.
It's one of my biggest lifetime goals and dreams to trade like that come true. Like, that part's already a done deal, and that's the part that's kind of upsetting me, because I'm like, well, when you stop striving for something, it's kind of a freak out. It's like, now what am I going to do with my life? Like, all this time I've been practicing and learning and working on trading live accounts with live money, to just always with the same focus of being able to trade a certain way that I felt from the very first beginning account that I ever had is how trading could be. Like, it's easy, it's fun, it's not a big deal, and you can get in here, get out there. Like, I saw those waves, I saw those moves, and I'm like, I can see how this could be done, and I'm going to do that. And it's like decades later, like almost 20 years later, 18 years later, and I'm having that experience this year in your group, by whatever synchronicity or coincidence or however that happened, of I am trading the way that I always envisioned trading. And that means something to me that maybe you could understand, but no one in my intimate, close life even understands at all. And that's one of the things that's freaky and upsetting and disturbing, but I'm still achieving my goal, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it now. But I know that I'm intending to stay in the group for a while and, see, and just keep doing it and see what happens.
That's very interesting. I mean, for me, I don't think it's really necessary to share what's going on, because I know people, like, if I met someone, I'm talking to them, that would not be something that would come up in the conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't ever say anything about it, because they don't, and they go, what's that? How does that work? And it just doesn't go anywhere. So I talk about something else. I don't really have a need to share that aspect, but I'm kind of used to that kind of thing, that kind of life of not sharing all the stuff that I'm most interested in, because
oh, really?
Other people don't understand it. And when I said the word esoteric, I had been in esoteric orders and studied esotericism and mysticism and spirituality and all this stuff for so long, that it was a principle that you're not supposed to talk. It's forbidden. You don't talk about what you learn in an esoteric group or something like that, because it's forbidden. So because without the appropriate preparation and background and stuff, a person can't receive it. So it's like what they call profaning something sacred. It's kind of the same way in trading. We profane something sacred, try to explain it to somebody that they don't get it.
Well, it's with money, the thing is that supposedly there's a few people in the world who have all the money and the rest of us don't have any, and that's probably true. So there is something a bit secretive about being able to didn't somebody in the group say like, oh, they found out about Scott, like, because you weren't there one day or something, they're like, the banks finally found out that he's good at trading and they took care of him, like as if
we have a lot of limiting beliefs and scariness and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, we do believe that, and maybe it is true because we are, being controlled by these reptilians, and they're the people in charge. Who knows who they really are? But the thing is, anybody could make as much money as the richest person if there's nothing to stop them. Yeah.
But then, I don't know, I just like the idea of it's a good business. It's like, to me, all business seems like every business is ultimately about making money. People go like, oh, it's about providing a service. It's about, and you're like, yeah, if you want to do a good business, you have to think about your customers. And yeah, you're all just not saying the truth. The truth is, the only reason you're doing the business because you want to make money. And all that stuff is what you need to do to make money in different type of businesses. Yes, you have to treat your customers right, but this is like a pure business. This is just what business is about. It's just about getting money. That's it. So there's something about the purity of that I really like.
Yeah, that's kind of what attracted me to it too, because it was like kind of a practice. Like you can, let's go extract this profit from the market today and then use it for a higher purpose. If you link your highest value to the task, like whatever it is, like if I had a pest control business, and then I link my highest value, that's going to enable me to fulfill my mission in life. Then I could go around killing rats and roaches and think that was, the ultimate thing. But with Forex trading, some people still think that you're ripping people off and the banks are got to steal from you. But I don't really see that that's true. You're just exchanging currency and doing it in a way where you're going to profit from it. Nobody loses when you make a trade.
Well, what's true for me is that it seems that almost everybody I know, money is extremely important to like almost every person on planet Earth. That is my impression. When I ask myself, like, what am I doing here? Why am I in this body? Like, what the hell is going on? One of the things that is orienting is like money is really important. It's just part of every day. I don't buy you. It's just that the fact that people aren't walking around just admitting that is weird. And that's where what most people want to know about in personal development is they want to know how they can make more money. And so that whole phenomena of just that money exists and that it's really, really important, but that people don't have all these kind of issues about it. I think that trading is like a purification practice where I'm just focusing on the money, and everything else that stands in the way of me and the money just having a really enjoyable relationship is like a meditation. It's like my meditation. Like maybe that's even being of service. I don't know, but just to not have any issues about money and just like the thing that I was told from the beginning is the financial markets are the place where most of the money in the world is. So if you want to get money and you want to have money, which is a human thing that we all want, then you should relate to the financial markets because that's where it is. That just seems like a meditation on something that is of value and importance to humans at this time on Earth. So just clean up my act on that, just go there and get accounts and get them funded and get the money and have that all worked out. That is a really good thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, how else could you really accomplish anything in life if you had a great vision to do something? You got to have money. It's like, you got to have it.
Yeah, and I was always told that's the place to go get it and to keep getting it, because whatever vision you have isn't just going to need funding, it's going to need refunding, and it's constant. You're always paying for stuff and buying things if you're having a flourishing life. So you need more and more income all the time. And I was just always told internally, meditatively and stuff, the place where the money is where you should go get the money. Because everyone, when you study personal development for manifesting what you want, it's always just one thing as far as I'm concerned. Form an intention and hold it until it comes true. That's it. That's what you need to do.